Imagine a fleet of solar-powered satellites orbiting Earth, working in real time to dial down the planet's temperature, keeping it just right. Sounds like science fiction? Well, it's exactly what Elon Musk floated on X when he replied to DJ Cows. A vast array of solar-powered AI satellites would be able to provide precise amounts shade to keep Earth at the exact right temperature. Today, we're diving into this bold concept. What it means, how it would work, why it's so controversial, and what it tells us about our climate future. Stick around because you'll hear wild ideas, hard science, and maybe some scary what-if scenarios. If you're into big ideas and real consequences, you're in the right place. Let's unpack that post. Elon Musk responded, a vast array of solar-powered AI satellites. So right off the bat, we have three big phrases to dig into. 1. Solar-powered AI satellites. 2. Provide precise amounts shade. 3. Keep Earth at the exact right temperature. The idea: long-term orbiting vehicles, or constellations that get their energy from the sun, controlled or assisted by artificial intelligence to dynamically adjust something. Musk hints at a fleet, like maybe a cousin of his Starlink network, but instead of delivering internet, delivering shade. This means blocking or reflecting a portion of the sun's radiation so less energy reaches Earth's surface. In other words, we're talking about space-based shading devices. Scientists call this type of approach part of the broader category of solar radiation modification, SRM, or space-based solar geoengineering. The goal is fine-tuning the global thermostat. Rather than letting the planet heat up unchecked, the idea would be to use the shade system to offset warming from greenhouse gases and maintain a more stable climate. In other words, Musk is referencing a space shade geoengineering idea, placing reflective devices or shades in orbit or at a strategic point like the L1 Lagrange point to manage how much sunlight reaches the Earth. Okay, so space shade sounds futuristic, but it's not brand new. Scientists have long discussed the concept of sunshades, space mirrors, orbiting reflectors to reduce solar input. Let's look at some of the key science. The concept of a large space sunshade, or space mirror, involves placing something between the Earth and Sun, often discussed at the Sun-Earth Lagrange point L1, to reflect or block a small fraction of incoming sunlight. For example, one modeling study found that if you can reduce solar radiation by 2% via a sunshade, you might offset the warming from a doubling of CO2. According to the NOAA fact sheet, space-based methods, mirrors, are among the less studied SRM technologies compared to others like stratospheric aerosol injection or marine cloud brightening. The math is massive. The amount of mass, orbit logistics, stability, maintenance, all huge hurdles. For example, one paper estimated that the mass of proposed sunshade systems could be on the order of 10 to 10 tons and require hundreds of launches over 10 years to deploy. More direct control of sunlight rather than messing around in the Earth's atmosphere. Potentially fewer side effects on atmospheric chemistry, if done purely in space. Might act faster than many other climate mitigation efforts. But the flip side, major challenges. The technical and cost barriers are enormous. Building, launching, maintaining enough satellites or reflectors is currently basically unfeasible at scale. Even if you reduce solar input, you still haven't removed greenhouse gases. You haven't stopped ocean acidification. You've only masked a symptom. The governance and ethical risks are huge. Who controls the shade switch? What if one region suffers because of another's shade decision? We'll come back to that. Now, why does Elon Musk posting this idea matter? Because Musk is both a tech visionary and has access via SpaceX to space infrastructures. So when he raises the idea of solar-powered AI satellites providing precise shade, several implications pop up. 1. It signals that space geoengineering is moving from science fiction towards serious discussion. Musk's mention isn't the first, but it helps bring the idea into the popular space. 2. It connects two major themes: space infrastructure, satellites, AI, large constellations, plus climate intervention, geoengineering. That means the domain of discussion is shifting. 3. It raises big governance questions. If one billionaire or one company proposes to thermostat the Earth, who decides? The idea of giving someone control over the Earth's shade dial is mind-blowing and scary. 4. It reframes climate urgency. So far, much of climate messaging has been about cutting emissions, adapting to warming, etc. Musk's post suggests a Plan B, direct intervention. That opens up hope, but also risk of moral hazard, i.e., we'll just build a shade instead of cutting emissions. It invites public debate. The idea of dialing Earth's temperature raises ethical, geopolitical, scientific questions, and people will ask, should we? When? At what cost? In short, Musk's post acts as a conversation catalyst, but also a reminder of how high stakes and complex the climate-space mix has become. Let's not sugarcoat it. This kind of idea comes with heavy controversy and major risks. Here are the main concerns. Even if you could shade some sunlight, you might alter rainfall patterns, wind currents, ocean circulation. Some studies warn of major disruption in the hydrologic cycle if you go down these space mirror shade paths. If you deploy such a system and then stop it for technical, financial, or geopolitical reasons, you could get rapid warming, much faster than if you never did anything. That's the termination shock risk. Who gets to decide how much shading? One nation could benefit while another suffers. Also, scientists in the European Union advised against deployment of untested space mirror systems, advocating for a moratorium. The worry is that deploying big technological fixes might reduce motivation to cut emissions, which is still the root of the problem. The Union of Concerned Scientists says solar geoengineering in general does nothing to address ocean acidification and should not be used instead of emissions cuts. As one article warned, the size, cost, logistics are so massive that some agencies consider space mirrors a low priority for now. So yes, the idea is powerful but fraught. Let me add my own 2 cents and some speculative thinking on what this could mean if taken seriously. Imagine by 2040, a constellation of thousands of solar-powered AI satellites are deployed at the L1 point. They continuously adjust reflectivity, dimming the incoming solar flux a little, just enough to keep global temps from rising beyond, say, 1.5 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial levels. Benefit. Could buy humanity decades of breathing space while we roll out renewables, cut emissions, and pull carbon from the air. But the trade-offs: we'd still have high CO2 levels, oceans continuing to acidify, ecosystems already under stress. We'd need permanent upkeep of the shade fleet. Failure risk. Suppose a major war or a funding collapse or the satellites degrade. Suddenly the shade disappears. Earth rapidly warms. Termination shock. Not a nice pause button, but more like a maintain or collapse button. Maybe the shade system isn't global, but regional. Say shading just the Arctic to slow permafrost melt or Northern Hemisphere summers to spare agriculture. Then the technology becomes a tool, not a global thermostat. But who picks regions? Who pays? Who deals with side effects? Is it morally, ethically acceptable? Do we have the right to engineer the planet at this scale? What if we mess up? Is it a distraction from real climate action? Because even if we could shade Earth, our ecosystems, biodiversity, oceans are still facing acidification, species loss, etc. We cannot rely on shading to fix everything. I believe we will see more research into space-based SRM over the next decade. Musk's post might accelerate that. But actual large-scale deployment? I think it's still many decades away. The cost, risk, and governance challenges remain huge. Now I want to hear from you. Would you support launching a shade fleet in space if it meant keeping global temperatures stable? Or would you worry about the unintended consequences? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I'll be reading them, and we'll highlight some later in the next video. Also, if you can imagine the tagline for such a system, e.g. Earth Cool Mode On, share your best version. I'll pick the best one and feature it in the next short. Elon Musk's recent post points to a bold concept, a network of solar-powered AI satellites that can shade Earth, stabilizing temperature. The idea is grounded in the science of solar radiation modification and space-based sunshades, technically plausible in principle, but currently hugely challenging. The stakes are enormous. If we ever pulled this off, we could gain time in the climate race, but if we fail, consequences could be severe. The real takeaway? This shows us climate solutions are not just about wind turbines or solar farms anymore. The frontier is now planetary scale. And we must approach it with humility, deep science, global governance, and a commitment to cutting emissions as the foundation. If you found this video eye-opening, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to, or more big idea videos, and hit the bell so you don't miss the next one. Thanks for watching. Until next time, Keep asking the big questions. Stay curious, stay informed.